I'm sure you've been angry at the world before. We've all felt a little resentment at our circumstances, despite the relatively kind upbringing most people have had. So you got a bad mark on your last test because of a nasty teacher, or your parents grounded you because your sibling lied, or even your girlfriend cheated on you with some other guy. These are all scenarios that can make a person wish the worst upon another. But how should one go about enacting their revenge? Well, historically speaking, there was one method that was tried and true for enacting your vengeance on your enemies: sicking a demon on them. Now, when we think of demon summoning, our first thoughts may be of spooky pentacles made out of human blood, or for those of us who are better acquainted with the realities of ancient magic, we may think of the Lesser Key of Solomon, but the history is a bit more complex than that. One of the oldest accounts of demon conjuration and control dates back to 900 BC, with the ancient ruler of Israel and Judah, King Solomon. Good old Solomon himself was our progenitor of most accounts, inspiring generations after generations of would-be demon fanatics to try and cast their own spells, and force demons to do their bidding. Sounds a little non-consensual there, but heaven knows the church isn't much better. Our little Jedediah's tales of demonic exploits started when one of his favorite local teenagers was being exploited by the evil, evil demon of capitalism, Orneus. Half his pay was being deducted, as well as having his soul sucked out through his thumb, but you know, that's just office life. So I guess Orneus would look a bit more like this? Anyway, enraged when he heard the news, Solomon went to a temple to go beg his old friend the capital G god. He prayed for a couple days straight, until God finally got sick of hearing his complaints and sent down his least favorite worker to resolve the issue, the Archangel Michael. So goes the story, but accounts of this only survived just barely. Now, several fellows thought, hey, that's a neat story, why don't I write it down? And so the written copy of this story came to be. Then one guy in the Middle Ages decided to compile these accounts, turning it into the Testament of Solomon, which was our first documented story of devil deal-making, if the dates are to be considered accurate. As the years go by, others try their hands at creating and distributing grimoires, but it wasn't until the 13th and 14th centuries that another grimoire, titled Liber Juratus Honori, would come out and rock the magical world. It would cite the Testament of Solomon as a key influence in its creation. This book would circulate for a while, inspiring wave after wave of potential practitioners to write their own books until the 17th century, where the big, the bad, the Lesser Key of Solomon would be released. Then we sort of evolve into the other grimoires, with Aleister Crowley becoming the new hot guy on the block with all of his books on demons in the 1800s. We also get some more controversial hits with the good old Satanic Bible. And now, into the modern era, we have evolved into any old dude on the internet giving explanations on how to summon your demons, half of them being not the most well-founded in occult history. Now, this history is fascinating and all, but how does one actually go about summoning a demon, and binding it to his will? But that all comes with due time. Well, dear practitioner, first, one must learn the principles behind magic itself, and the art of evocation. These principles being, it's all whatever makes you feel cool to say. That's right, you heard me. According to Aleister Crowley, a renowned magician and occultist of the 18th century, with regard to pacts, they are rarely lawful, there should be no bargain struck. So don't go expecting to show up with legal papers in hand and a dictionary-length contract. But just as well, every modern source for occult deals with demons claims that you should talk it out like adults, or whatever. And to add more confusion to your already bored mind, the ritual summoning demon triangles are already sort of a pact anyways. And what's more, the tale of Johann George Faust details the manners in which bargains may be made with evil or dark entities. So, with all of these conflicting accounts, what's the truth? Well, the truth is that it's all just a centuries-long game of telephone. You find what others in the past have used, decide whether you like that method or not, then either add on to the pre-existing mythos, or call it a load of hogwash and make up your own rules. You'll find a lot more success if you adapt the previous generation, or tens, runes, and languages into your own rituals. It gives you some credibility for whatever that's worth in the magic business, since there's already a ton of material to work with and twist into ancient secrets. And now, your demon should be summoned. If you don't see anyone, don't hear anyone, don't feel anything, or like a slight breeze, or You just generally getting a sense of nothing? Congrats! You probably did it right, and it didn't work. If you do feel something, congrats! You may or may not be haunted, or check your family first for maybe a history of psychosis or other mental illnesses. One of the two, I don't want to assume, could be either. Anyway, it's all a load of crap. The inconsistencies, the 20 million page grimoires you have to sift through in your free time, the only demon you're summoning is the one of bureaucracy. Don't waste your time on committing to doing the research unless you're an author. Only fools with pages for brains could ever stand to read millions of words, all talking about a bunch of gibberish. If you have half a cent of common sense, you would understand what a useless endeavor it is to get embroiled in these century-long mysteries. Of course, there's also the issue of trying to separate what we typically think of as a demon summoning versus what was deemed necromancy back in the day. They share a surprising amount of similarities, from the conjuration of a potentially harmful entity to using many of the same rituals and essentially acting as the equivalents for cultures that lacked what we know of as demons. So with that all in mind, take this all with about a mountain of salt. Or if you're part of one of the cultures who uses salt as a purification ritual, I guess a bowl outside your door should suffice. Anyways, good luck not getting haunted, and it's all stupid and made up, and really silly, and I love it anyways. Peace.